Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Sahaviram Karavamahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishamahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so what we saw in the last session is that why is it important to correct the mistake, and that correction of the mistake is directly relevant to what we are searching for, a fulfilled life, a happy life. It's not like you're listening to some theory and then you as an individual remain untouched by it. If you really understand what Vedanta is saying, you understand yourself as on this one path, right? And if you don't ask the question, what does it do for me? Right? Any ananda that anybody experiences anywhere in this universe, in any realm, there is only one source, which is this limitless nature. Wow. And that ananda is just a fraction of that limitlessness. It's just a modification. Next. And where do you find this? It is always with you. It has always been with you, right? So that is the only thing which shines in its own glory. Everything else is nothing. Now, let's look at the next. Now, it's landing. So, what do you think the landing verse will do? What do you think? Just logically. What do you think? The last few verses, what would they do? What do you think logically makes sense? Sorry? Yeah. Kind of praise the knowledge, see what you get, right? What difference does it make to your life? All phala. Phala means the result of this knowledge. Right? You need to know the result, because otherwise we'll say all this inquiry, dedicating my life, what's in for me, right? So this is something that you need to be clear of. So this is the praise. And what is this? And also little bit understanding of full understanding. What does it do for us? Right? Yada sarve pramuchyante kamaha ye asya hridi shritaha atha bhatyaha amrutaha bhavati atra brahma samashtate. Yada sarve prabhidyante hridayasya iha grathayana atha bhatyaha amrutaha bhavati etavat anushasana. Okay, who wants to read?
When all these areas which are based on this knowledge thereof, then the knowledge becomes immortal. He attains Brahma Kriya, its source. When all the knots of the world are completely broken in the itself, then the knowledge becomes immortal. This much there is a teaching.
So there are a few things which I talked about, and let's look at this. Sarve pramuchyante kama. So what does it mean? The person is freed from all the desires. So what does it mean, freed from all desires? What it means is, from the binding of the person, freed from the binding nature of desire. So what is the difference between binding and non-binding desire? Preferences, simple preferences you are going to have, right? So whether you like to do yoga or you prefer jogging, These are preferences, right? What you like to eat, the plant food, or you prefer, I don't know what, something else, right? You want vegetables or fruits, whatever. All these preferences everybody has. Where would you like to live? In cold climate or warm climate? All these are just individual, right? So, no, all of us cannot become identical. It's not possible. And this is not how the universe is made. Each one of us has our unique characteristic at an empirical level, individuality. And you have individuality means you have preferences, you have aptitudes, you have inclinations which are different from others. And in fact, the world requires everything. The world needs some analytical people to do all these scientific discoveries. It also needs artists. It needs to entertain, to bring culture. So everybody's aptitudes are needed in order for the society to run and for all the different needs that are there to be met. Right? So that means that individual differences remain and preferences also remain. But when you here say kamas have gone away, what it means is binding nature of desire. So what does it mean? What is the difference between just preferences and binding nature of desire? What is the difference?
Well, I could say I like yoga or finance or whatever preferences. If I can't have it in this moment, then it doesn't cause such reactivity.
So that's one of the indicators of binding nature of desire. Good. So one of the indicators of binding desire is that something I desire, if it doesn't come, I don't suffer. I don't suffer. It's okay. I can manage, right? That means that there is not so much dependency on that desire to be fulfilled for me. My happiness is not totally dependent. This is why yesterday what he said is, it is a fact that in the presence of some objects, we give up our smallness and we feel happy. It's a fact. But to create the environment where something pleases us, it's difficult. Where everything works according to our likes, everything works, that is not easy. So what we keep trying to do is keep trying really hard to manipulate the world, to behave according to our likes so that we can be happy. That we are in presence of something, it pleases us and we give up our smallness and we feel happy, is a fact. But to create that environment where you are pleased is not happening. Why? Something or the other is missing. If you went for a holiday with all your best friends, but the flight was delayed, everybody's complaining. Or you reach there and it rains, that's not what you expected. What does it mean? Even if with lot of difficulty you got all the friends to go together, and you get everything to work exactly as you want. All of you went to a restaurant expecting, oh, this is incredibly good restaurant. And the food was okay. At least what you ordered was okay. Whenever I go to a restaurant, this is my problem. What is my problem? My problem is whatever he orders is much better than whatever I order. And this is the truth. I keep telling you. And the funny part is, when he orders, I almost laugh in my head, what funny thing he has ordered. And I always think what I have ordered is so much better. But when it comes, mine is always much worse than what he ordered. Then I give him mine. And he's so kind. And he's so kind. He's very kind. He notices. I taste mine. And I'm like, and then he himself offers. I don't even have to ask him. He says, okay, you can take this. So, this is really the truth. So, what it means is to get everything right. That's why we are always in this endless chase. And the orientation is, I wait for a day when everything is right. Please. Goes along with you for a while, then adds a twist. Then so this is how it is. So now what happens is binding nature of desire. What does it mean? What does it mean? I absolutely need this for my happiness. Whether it is an object or a person or a situation, none of it, none. Even situation, I need to go to heaven to be happy. No condition. Why? Why? Because what you have discovered is, I am the whole. Not that an individual tries to suppress desires, I should not have desire, and I have to eliminate all binding desires. Do you understand? There is no pressure. Because what does the person understand? The relationship between I and everything else is what? I am self-revealing, I am self-existent. Everything else depends upon me for its existence. It doesn't have the same order of reality. If nothing has the same order of reality, and if everything depends upon you for its existence, and you are independently existing, as an individual you can have preferences because you still are connected to the body, and you still are connected to the mind. So mind does have preferences. Mind does, and the body also has preferences. If you are growing up in a cold country, you feel more uncomfortable in hot weather than when you are growing up in a warm country. That's how it is. You can have preferences, but what it means is the binding nature of that has gone away once and for all, because you understand the relationship between I am and everything else. See? That relative individual may still engage, but that's not your final truth. So, binding nature, that this will satisfy me. That goes once and for all. Why? Because you see yourself as ever full. So, if you see yourself as ever full, a reality that this will satisfy me, can it coexist? Do you understand? If this is your reality, that means you haven't understood this. So that means that two opposites cannot coexist. You cannot say, I have understood, I am the whole, and then you still tell yourself, without this, I am incomplete. Not possible. I may have preference for this because, yes, while I am alive, I have this relative body, I have relative mind, it has preferences, this is empirical reality, this is how Ishvara has set it up. There is no problem with that. You don't have to be artificial, no, everything is the same for me. Obviously not. But that thinking, this will not be, cannot exist, cannot coexist with knowledge. So binding, desires, right? What else happens? Look at this. Asya Vriti Shritana. Right, Bhavati. Brahma Samashnate. Sarve Prabhidyante Hridayasya Iha Advantayana. What does it mean? Look at this. Now, the knowledge is cognitive, but what is talked about is Hridaya Granthi. What is Hridaya Granthi? Entanglements of heart. What does entanglements of heart mean? One is kama, the binding desires. The other is entanglements of heart. What do they mean?
The desires that can see clear everything we can.
Good, right, exactly, good. So you don't, your mind doesn't get entangled with everything. So entanglement, what does it produce in terms of your
Misplaced value of something.
So misplaced value is part which creates binding desire. But entanglement of heart is what creates emotional pressures. So what it means is, yes, you have binding desires, but then you see yourself as not complete without this. But the world is organized in a way you don't always get what you want. Then it creates further reactions. So binding desires don't stop at being binding desires. They have further ramifications. So if you don't take care of binding desire, you cannot also avoid the future ramifications. When binding desires don't get fulfilled, if you are telling yourself, this I absolutely need for my well-being, and if that then doesn't get fulfilled, there are emotional reactions. What are the emotional reactions? Anger, sadness, fear, a lot of different things. Or larger orientation, I'm depressed, nothing happens as I want, I'm so helpless. Larger stories also build up. One is situation specific. This situation brings you anger. Depression is not one situation specific, it's a lasting feeling. It is deeper.
And my thought is more, you cannot get better results than you desire. You know what I mean? You cannot get better results than you desire.
No, you can get better results than you desire. You can. Like for example,
when you're attached, you cannot get better results than
you can. Why not? So suppose I'm attached to something and I try really hard, right? So suppose I stand for the election and I'm attached and I really want to win the election. Then not only I can win the election, somebody can appoint me as chief minister. Much more than what I expected. There is no relationship between attachment and not getting what you want. It can happen. Do you understand? Yeah. You can be very attached and you want it, but that doesn't mean sometimes you get what you want, but sometimes you get much more than what you want. Ask anybody who, when they were growing up, did they know they would become president of one country? No. So the attachments don't decide the result. The results are according to the laws of Ishvara. Whether you are attached or not, it doesn't have any bearing on the result. The results come according to the law. The only thing that happens is when you are attached, and if the results are equal or above, sometimes you create a bubble of superiority. That is your addition. And if things don't happen your way, then you are depressed or angry. That is your reaction. But attachment and results in reality have got really nothing to do with each other. The attachments will decide how you respond when the results come. Is it clear? The relationship? Yeah. So, what it means is that the one of the knots of the heart means if my values are all over the place, if I don't see the objects in the right place, what they can do for me, what they cannot do for me, and if I engage with them with a certain expectation that they are able to fulfill, not only that is misplaced, but when things don't happen my way, then there are other reactions. It doesn't just stop with whether desires are binding or not. It has further ramifications. When I don't get what I want, it creates feeling of deprivation, feeling of frustration. So what does it mean with knots? This is called Hridaya Granthi. Hridaya Granthi means it makes my heart. That is what this Lily has nice images. She told her daughter, imagine your liver or stomach to be this pink little thing, right? And the little girl, and it goes along with this image, my stomach is this pink little thing and all the dark things are black. And she says, Mom, the pain has gone. Interesting story. What does it mean? Knotted heart. What does it evoke in you? Knotted heart. Complete dissatisfied. Only see problems. Ruminating. Somewhere what has happened is this binding desire. And what is this binding desire? The world has to work as I wish. Binding desire. People have to do what I think is right. Ramifications, conflict, knots. You don't correct one thing, you can't avoid the subsequent effects of that not correction. You understand? Knots of the heart are all an outcome, emotional reactions when your cognitive understanding of the world is not right. Over-importance to things, dependency on things, telling yourself this is required for me to be happy. It has further knots, it entangles you. For the wise person, because the preferences have become simple preferences, nothing is binding. What is the outcome? The knots of the heart, the emotional reactions. What happens? Much freer. Much freer. I had this preference, but it didn't work that way. So what? I can manage. Because anyway, this object was now seen as answer to my happiness. Anyway. Do you understand? It's all natural. Each one is connected to the other. So, I can do without it. It's not a big deal. Look for some other options. Look for other possibilities. So, what it means is you are not stuck on any one thing. Flexibility. Not, it has to be like this, and it can't be other way. All these pressures. Right? So, this is what knots of the heart are all free. Pravidyante hridayasya grantaya. And atha madhyaha amritaha. Right? And plus, what is the most important thing is, all forms of fear have gone. What is the basic fear that we all have? Look at this. Towards the end comes back to brilliant. This is the end. Right? Comes back. What was the question of Nachiketa in the beginning? Everybody is confused about nature of harm. Is it subject to death or is it survives death or does it not survive death? Or is it just a traveling entity or there is something more? What has the person discovered? What is the answer? As a result of Lord Yama's teaching, what has Nachiketa discovered? What is the nature of Atma? Sat Chit Ananda. It is the truth of time. It is the truth of space. It is the truth of every object. Time depends upon it for its existence. Space depends upon it for its existence. Objects depend upon it for its existence. It is independently existent. If objects depend upon you for your existence, you don't have binding desires. If binding desires are not there, you can't have emotional entanglements. Do you understand? And ultimately, you have also freed yourself from this basic fear of mortality. There is no death in the universe. Atma never dies. The forms come and go. But forms also don't totally die, they're just transformation. Like the same 5 elements get reconfigured again. There's another body. The same mind which is made up of 5 subtle elements gets reprogrammed again to engage with the world. What dies? Nothing dies. What dies? Tell it. After the whole universe also becomes unmanifest, knowledge and power still remains. And the truth of knowledge and power, Satchidananda, is always there. What dies? Only forms transform. That is the truth. Forms do transform. Nothing dies. Fear is there. You understand? This is not a small knowledge. What is the result of this knowledge? The binding desires leave you once and forever, once and for all. They don't come back because the understanding of relationship you have with object has changed forever. Then if you eliminate binding desire, the further ramifications of entanglement of heart goes away. The basic problem of my mortality, limitation, goes away. This is the meaning of the word freedom, moksha. Moksha. When? Later? Right. Here and now. The minute you understand the nature of this, instantaneously, there is no time lag between this and everything else, the result. So, this is what is described in this verse. This is Bhagavati Etat Eva Anushasana. What does it mean? This is the teaching. So what does it mean? The teaching has a few steps. The prakriya that we have different steps. What are the different steps? You have to understand. Every Upanishad has this prakriya. You cannot have what? You cannot have Upanishad, which is a Pramana, which doesn't have some aspect of all of this. is you have to Upakrama and Upasamhara. What does it mean? Introduction of a subject matter and summary. You have to have this. Otherwise you don't know. Right? Then you have what you call the Vishaya, whatever you want to reveal. But whatever you reveal, you can't start revealing. You need to first introduce it. What are you talking about? So what was the introduction? Nachiketa's story, right? Which is an introduction which creates a context for the teaching. Then the Vishaya is what you actually want to show. Then you need to, before you even begin to explain this, you need to create Upapatti. What is Upapatti? Now that the Vishaya is the subject matter is so unusual, you have to create the possibility that this is possible. It's not something which is totally out of the line. So what does it mean? You see many objects and you are told there is non-duality. How will the mind process it? It is directly contradicting your experience. So you will not believe it. So what? You will say now Shastra is a little cuckoo. Many forms are apparent not only to me but to everyone, and Shastra is saying everything is one. It's not possible. So how does the teaching begin? Upapatti. What is Upapatti? There is a possibility. And what is the possibility? 1,000 pots, 1 clay. 1,000 pots, 1 clay doesn't establish all that is here is one, but it creates possibility. Do you understand? Then there is a possibility that yes, this relationship is possible. In itself does not prove anything. Does it prove that 1,000 pots equal to 1 clay? Therefore, can you use therefore logic, and therefore all forms come from one thing? Okay. Is there any therefore? There is no therefore. Thank God you are saying that. But what does this example do? It creates possibility that this relationship is possible. That means let me look into Shastra and see, right, what it has to say. It is showing me some relationship that I had not thought about. Then you need, after that, you can't just stop here because the example only creates possibility, it doesn't prove anything. You need analysis. So, in analysis also, so the illustrations can be used for both Upapatti to create a possibility, and also during the analysis when I want to demonstrate something. Both. The illustrations are used in both cases. The analysis of what is the subject matter and how what I want to talk about, which is Atma, is one, even though you see many forms. This itself doesn't prove it. Right? So this is the analysis. It has to, this is methodology. Then what 5. Phalam. What is phalam? What is the result? You use this analysis and you get to understand something. What is the result for you? What will you get? And the 6th is prashansa. What is prashansa? Certain praise of this knowledge. What? Showing you the magnitude of this knowledge, the enormity of this knowledge, its capacity to solve the most fundamental problem that you have. That means praising of the knowledge to inspire. Every Upanishad has to have, in different ways, it has to incorporate this. Right? So now we are towards the end. So what was talked about, that person gets ananda, that the knots of the heart go away. Right? And binding nature of desires go away. The fear of death goes away. What does this, in this analysis, where does it fall into? Yeah. It is both phalam and little bit prashansa. Why? Because it's inspiring. It's not like some dry thing that I'm studying, some cognitive whole nature of Atma, and like a philosopher who's just trying to figure out, what could be the nature of the universe? It's not like that. Prashansa. Inspiring you to study this knowledge. It's not an ordinary knowledge. Right? So what it means is, the last few verses have to, and it can be any time. It is not like it only has to be in the end, but it has to overall cover all these aspects. That is part of methodology. In this analysis, prakriya, also you have many different prakriyas, many different methodologies. What are the different methodologies? I don't want to give you over detail. But one is karya-karana prakriya, the relationship between cause and effect. Avasthatraya prakriya, right? What are the 3 variable states that we all go through, and what do they indicate? Panchakosha prakriya, 5 locus of errors that we use in Taittiriya Upanishad. So all the different prakriyas they create part of the analysis. You understand the method. It's not just talking randomly. Upakrama, upasamhara, then vishaya, then upapatti, prakriyas, phalam, and prashansa. Then the knowledge and the delivery of knowledge is complete. Okay. So now let's look at the last verse. Ankushamatraha purushaha antaratma sada jananam hridaye sannivishtaha tvam svat sharira pravrite mujjativa shikam dhairyena tam vidya shukram amrutam tam vidya shukram amrutam iti. Okay, who wants to read the second last verse?
Purusha, the inner self, which is of the size of the dust, is ever seen in the heart. One should separate that from one's own body with diligence, like separating the soul from the wound and flesh. One should know that to be the pure and immortal.
One should know that the most clear.
In Sanskrit, there is
Tam Vidyat Shukram Amrutam. Tam Vidyat Shukram Amrutam. There's a repetition. So, what here it means is that, okay, now here again an imagery is used. Angushta Matra Purusha. So, all of a sudden, now you use your analytical mind. All this while I am understanding Atma to be limitless. And now it is Angushta Matra Purusha. So, Shruti is taking me for a ride. Right? It is of the size of the thumb. So now this is the last verse. So what do you think it is trying to say? Angushta Matra Purusha. What is this imagery? What is it doing? So what it means is that again with reference to reminding you, it is the Upalantisna. Where do you find, because it's not available for objectification. Atma is not available for objectification. You will not stumble upon Atma. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra. Neither sun can reveal you, nor moonlight can reveal it to you, nor fire, a local diya can reveal it to you. You can't know it. But this is not belief, it is knowledge. So there must be some place where this Atma is available to you. Where is this place? Where is the most intimate place where it is available? With your buddhi, with your sense. That I am is constantly mixed with I am cold, I am hot, I am upset, I am frustrated, I am happy, I am this, I am that, I am tired, whatever. Every I am. That's the show. So what does what? Where do you find the truth, Satyam Jnana? Where do you find? Where your eye sense is. Where your eye sense is, it's constantly changing. Your eye thoughts keep changing. So where do you find this Atma in your eye sense? Where do you find in your eye sense? As the content of your sense. You can't have eye thought without the presence of consciousness. Eye thought is a form. Consciousness is the content. The form keeps changing. The content doesn't change. So what does it mean? How many eye thoughts you have had so far? Many. Where was Atma? How is that? As the content of every eye thought. Not only your eye thought of everyone. When will you look for Atma? Whichever thought you have had so far, it was possible because of the presence of Atma. You need to produce it. It was always there. Then what do you, if it was always there, what are you searching for? You did it. Because I sense seemed reality, and the content was totally missed out. What is Shastra doing? Making you see what is not. The relationship between I thought, which is a form, which is a vritti, and the content without which vritti, which is a form, cannot exist. So what is it? This Angushtamatma Purusha, the small I sense, which is sometimes scared, sometimes threatened, sometimes wants to prove itself, sometimes feels I'm so good and so powerful, others are all this I sense, drama after drama after drama of this I sense. That's it. Whichever thought you have had, if consciousness was always there, as is contact, without which you could not have had that thought. So that means, look at this, what a beautiful, right? This Angushtamatra Purusha, which seems to be in your head or in your heart, right, which is here, right? You have to, what do you need to do? Swat Sharira, right? So what do you need to do? You have to free this Satyam Jnanam Anantam from the modification. How do you free the content from modification? Can you separate the two? No. That's why it is only cognitive. So here he says, look at this. Like from about the stalk from munja grass. So there is a grass, and within that there is stalk. So what do you need to do? You have to separate the stalk from the grass. How do you do it? If you do it too fast, what will happen? It will break. If you keep it, you won't see the difference. So what does it mean? Very carefully and with not discrimination and delicacy.
The edges also are sharp.
You can break it.
It's
Very
sharp. What's the exactly?
Munja grass. Munja grass is it's a type of a grass.
Second of grass, you have to imagine two kind of, let's say, outer things. And inside you have something.
There is some.
Which is covered, right? There's something inside. But when you try to go to what is outside, right, to the sculpture, what happens is that the edges are sharp on the outside.
You understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what it means is that Atma is always with you, but mixed up in your eye sense. So what do you need to do? Separate the two. But can you physically separate the two? No. So that's why, very carefully, what belongs to modification, what is part of modification, and what is modification keeps changing. Content is immutable. Carefully. Most of the time, we try to separate the two. If you try to separate the two, what is the problem? It becomes huge. This is one, and it requires discrimination. That's why whether you have ordinary experience or you have special experience, it is that Atma is content of both. Do you understand? It doesn't, it's not only in the special experience. Any experience you have had so far, the content of that experience is Atma, without which you could not have had any experience. You don't need any special experience to reveal it. It is self-revealing at all times. That is the meaning of self-revealing. carefully discriminate and free your partner from its limited place where it has placed itself, which is eye sense. Upanishad. So, this is what he says. Tam vidya shukram amritam. Imagine, how do you do it? Very clear. How do you do it? Carefully, with patience, with precision. You make a small mistake, as he said. Then the edges are sharp and the inner part is delicate. So if you don't do it carefully, what happens? Mix up with that people. So this is now carefully we have to separate the limitless Atma from the eye sense. Cognitive separation. One is Mithya, the other is Satya. So then Tam Vidyam Shukram Amritam. By doing that, what will you get? You will own up your reality as Amritam, free from self-revealing consciousness never ceases to exist. Body concentrates. This, what do you get by carefully discriminating that which is available to you in your heart as that one Angushta Matra purified, this eye sense. Now what have you done? Disentangled Satya Jnana Ananta Brahman from that eye sense which has been newly released. By knowing what is wrong. What did you gain? Because that self-revealed presence was never subject to any limitation. It was superimposed. That limitation was superimposed. So, this is what Tam Vidyam Shukram Amritam. Tam Vidya Shukram Amritam. And the last verse. What is the last verse? Mrityu Proktam Nachiketaha Ataha Labdva Vidyam Etam Yoga Vidhe Chatustam Brahma Praptaha Virajaha Abhut Mrityoho Anyoho Api Eva Yaha Vididhyatam Eva. What does it mean? Who wants to read the last verse?
Nachiketa acquires completely this knowledge as well as the knowledge of yoga, which will travel of Brahma. Thus, having attained Brahman, he became pure and immortal. Anyone else too who thus knows himself is Brahman.
So what happens? There was a dialogue between Nachiketa and Lord Brahma. What is the conclusion? As a result of this dialogue, did Nachiketa get it or he did not get it? He got it. Happy end. Happy end. Happy end. Right. So it's lovely. Everybody likes happy end. Nobody likes, oh, we didn't get it. So what does it mean? Got it. And then what? Why did he get it? What made him get it?
He was prepared, he had the right attitude to listen, and he did it with perseverance.
Excellent. Right? Already he showed so much maturity. Even the way he asked the question, the way he turned that whole little bit of a trauma into this great opportunity to find the answer, and the way he persisted, and the way he chose everything, and his attention, his focus. Need that, and who was teaching? Lord of Death. And who is Lord of Death? Who has conquered death. He was clear. And Nachiketa was very deep. The coming of the day had what happened? Knowledge exists. This happy end. And now, look at this. The story doesn't end with Nachiketa and Lord Yama. What is the last line? Anybody who listens to this teaching, who has enough preparation, and anybody who has a teacher, who is a competent teacher, who has competence, who has seen the reality of Asma. If they two come together, what will happen? The knowledge will take place. Knowledge cannot not take place. Really happy. Not only Nachiketa got it, we all can get it. All can get it. How far is Atma from you? How far is Atma from you? There is no distance. The only distance is ignorance, false attribution. When can that false attribution go? Anytime. Really, this is the truth. Anytime. Provided you listen to the Shastra and the guidance. But it can go anytime. This is the difference. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Shri Guru Namaha Hari Om.